You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in absolutely gorgeous and overcast Northport, Florida. It's great to be out on the road today, getting things looked at. And on my ride up to Sarasota, I just got to say, it was kind of cool on the way up to Sarasota. On the way back, traffic was a little tense at times. And I saw, and I've been picking on this for a while now, it's been my staple home. I saw people on 95 or 75 doing 95 and making these 3 and 4 lane changes in one fell swoop. Let's just get her done. I used to work in trauma, and I got to tell you, it's not worth spending 6 months in a trauma center, getting yourself healed up, and for saving yourself 3 or 4 minutes of your life. What's even better than that is, how about saving the lives around you? Just slow down. And I'm going to lead right in with that to my really, really, really good friend, Chris Hall. And I'm going to let him introduce himself and his new position. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. Well, thank you for having me back on the show. My name is Chris Hall. I am now the Community Affairs Specialist, or one of the Community Affairs Specialists with the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office. Been here for just over a year. I mean, literally just over a year. It's been 54 weeks. So I'm kind of still new, but I'm fitting in pretty well, I think.
What is a Community Affairs Specialist?
So my position is about representing the agency to the community and kind of running some of the programs and being involved with some of the programs. Really, it's about establishing that relationship with the people that we serve, to let people know that we're more than just the people who write the tickets when you're speeding down the highway.
What is the goal? I mean, what is your ultimate goal in your position now? I know it's to build that bridge so that people, one, have the access to communicate with you, right?
Correct.
And police officers. In this day and age, things have been very difficult.
Absolutely.
Because we hear things. We hear the worst of the worst, but we never hear the best of the best.
Sure.
Because that's just the nature of the beast. Can you explain some of that and talk about how you would like to incorporate the best of the best with getting the worst of the worst out?
Sure. So just like you said, there's a lot of that, we call it the 1%, that there are 1% of officers or deputies or whatever you want to call them in any agency that are probably not there for the right reasons. But what that means is that 99% are. And so my job is to help show that 99% to the people that we're serving and kind of help to build those relationships so that if you see a deputy, if you're in Charlotte County and you see one of our guys or girls and you see them, we want you to feel comfortable enough to talk to them and to tell them what the problem is and what's going on. And to, like I said, also open the eyes a little bit that we're more than just the people that arrest the bad guys. There's a lot more to this agency than people seem to think. And so my job is to kind of help show them what they're missing out on when they don't know about our programs and our services and the different things that we do outside of enforcing the law.
So let's talk about those, because I really would like to make this that platform that gives you the opportunity to expand that conversation. Because you don't get this opportunity very often. And I love the fact that you're there, because the lead in from Green Dot to this, it was a good stepping stone for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a smooth transition. Absolutely.
Yeah. So explain some of the programs and why it's important people understand why they're there.
So for me, I think the most important thing is, and I just had this conversation with my supervisor the other day, what we do in this unit, the Community Affairs Unit, which encompasses our crime prevention unit as well, what we do, it really helps the deputies to be able to do what they do in a way that is safe. And what I mean by that is, I think everybody is familiar with the landscape politically that we've seen over the last year or two. And we know that there's been some unrest, I think is the best way to say it, with some of the police throughout the country. We don't have that problem here in Charlotte County. And I think that the reason for that is because we have such a tight community that works well together. They interact with each other. Even when we disagree, we do it respectfully. You're not seeing a lot of these divides that you're seeing in other areas of the country. And I think that speaks to the people that live here. So for me, just being able to tell them about some of these other programs, it's not really telling them something new as much as it is reinforcing what they already know, that this agency is here for the right reasons and we're doing the right things to help people out. So for me, the biggest program that I get to oversee, and it's unbelievable that I get to do this, it's called Shop with a Cop. And so what we do is we partner with the local Walmarts, all 4 of the Walmarts in Charlotte County, and we partner with all of the elementary schools in Charlotte County, the public elementary schools, of which there are 10. There are 11. And we get them to tell us 10 students that they think would benefit from, whether they need it because of financial reasons or they need it because the student could just really use a good positive interaction with someone from law enforcement to kind of help get them back on the right track. But whatever reasons they use, that's their standard. We get to partner, and I coordinate the whole program, set them up to take them Christmas shopping at Walmart, and we give each kid a $100 gift card. Now, this program is so cool because it is 100% funded by community members, donors, sponsors, and the like. We don't put a penny into it. We don't have that kind of funding to do that. So everything that we do is through the community and different partnerships and organizations and sponsorships. So we get the kids in, we hook them up, we give them a $100 gift card to Walmart, and we partner them with a deputy who literally walks around Walmart with them and takes them Christmas shopping. And they can get something for themselves. We've had some kids walk in and say, I need a new bike, and he'll run over and grab a bike, and he's done. That's $100. He's all set. And we've got kids that come in and they've got a whole list of 6 different family members, and I know I got to get mommy this candle because mommy likes candles, and I've got to get my sister this doll because she really wants that doll. And it's just one of the most heartwarming experiences that I've ever been a part of.
I've been involved with Shop with a Cop here in Northport, and I know the value that it brings. Explain some of that, because the personal touch for a lot of these individuals who need help to get through the Christmas holidays, a lot of time, it's more than just impactful for you and the officers.
Absolutely.
Explain the backside of this and why there's a purpose behind it.
So most recently, obviously, last year was a very different kind of year because of COVID and because of the financial hardships that COVID caused for a lot of families. But the standard stays the same every year. We've got a large number of people in our community that just really need that interaction, that positive interaction with a law enforcement officer. And the financial aspect of it, of course, is always there too. But what we do is we get the kids to come in, and the look on their face when they get to, not last year physically, but metaphorically, hold a deputy's hand and walk around Walmart like, this is my person today. I'm with this person, whether it's, one of our corrections officers or a deputy you'd see out on the road somewhere, or a canine deputy, whatever it is. That kid it's like the Big Brothers Big Sisters program almost. This is my guy for today, or this is my girl for today. And it gives them a feeling of importance. I matter. I'm valuable, and a lot of these kids that are in these financial struggles don't feel that way. They feel like they're not good enough, or that they can't do what the other kids get to do. And so this is kind of a unique experience for them that says, yeah, you can do it, and you're worth it, and you're valued, and we love you. So let's go and take care of this for you.
Well, and you explained that awesome. And the thing I want to tap on a little bit with this is the contact that you have with the younger generation. It's a game changer a lot of times, and
Sure.
They get picked on a lot, but we also look at the younger generation a lot of times, and I don't care how old you are, how young you are. I can say younger generation when I was a kid, If you had individuals out there who were desperate, sometimes in need, your crime rate goes up.
Sure.
Different things play into that. And I believe, even with the way I grew up, we had a local police department in our village. And so we all knew the police officer.
Mhm.
More importantly, he knew exactly who all the kids were.
Right.
And where they lived. So, that was a different governing device that we had to live up to, where today that engagement, that one-on-one, even building rapport, it can be life-changing for a student that's going to school who now changes their plan and wants to become a police officer or even have higher aspirations to do something else.
Sure. Yep. It's that reinforcement of I'm good enough, that I'm worth this, so
Right.
I can do something different with my life. Absolutely. And we see that all the time with the kids that not just come through the Shop with a Cop program, but they talk to their school resource officers. They see the deputies in their school and say, "Hey, good morning, Deputy Wade. Good to see you today." And it's just a high five in the hallway or something like that. But every single time it's a positive interaction that helps to shift that child away from what you're talking about, that other side of the darkness of life that can accumulate with enough of the negativity.
And it does. We have to realize as citizens a lot of times that, I'm going to say me, the minute I have a police officer behind me, whether the lights are on or not, everything like snaps into gear.
Mhm.
I can be going down the road at 70 miles an hour. And as soon as I see the police officer, I just drop to 60. It's just natural instinct.
Automatic. Yeah.
It is. And the funny thing is I like that deterrent. Because I will say the sheriff's department, you guys are really, really good about putting the cars out on the islands a lot of times in main heavy
high traffic areas. Yep.
And I think it's awesome because it's a lot of times people are speeding, but they're not going anywhere. They're relaxed in their car and they're just not paying attention.
Right.
Now, there are others who are driving erratically. And I think those, what do you call the mock cars or?
Yeah, there's all kinds of nicknames for it. We call them a ghost car. A lot of people
Ghost
call
car.
it that.
But it to me, that is another form of being involved in the public and understanding how it triggers people to think and slow down.
Sure. Well, I think
not that it puts it with this group, but I look at the sheriff's department as really trying to make an effort to be reaching out to let people know, slow down, relax,
Right.
Just like Shop with the Cop, relax. Your money's going to the right spot. This is really impactful to the community. It has a lot of advantages. And I think you guys are doing a great job at trying to tee this thing up to maybe change some attitude.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So our traffic unit is stretched very thin when it comes to what they do, and for them to be able to reduce the number of traffic accidents and high risk areas and things like that with the manpower that they have, it, to me, is very impressive. And a lot of that stems from what we hear from our community. We get a lot of messages through our social media accounts where people will say, "Hey, I notice a lot of people running the red light or skipping the stop sign or whatever you want to call it at such and such an intersection." And so what we do is we take those things and we pass them right on to our traffic unit. And they say, "Okay, we'll check that out." And boom, they'll go out, and the next day you'll see one of those cars there that you're talking about. If not, somebody who's actually there and watching the traffic and monitoring things, in person to make sure that everything's going accordingly. So it really is. When I say that we're all about the community approach, I mean we are about the community approach. Without that tip that we got through social media, we may not have known that something was going on at that particular intersection until, God forbid, it was too late and somebody's hurt. So we really count on the community.
And community involvement's huge
Mhm.
for you guys. I mean, one, shop with the cop, but two, the hotline, the tips, all the things that you're doing, including the social media side of things. What's really nice for citizens is that there's a lot of different ways to communicate.
Sure.
Do you want to hit on a couple of those real quick and let
Sure.
people know how to do it?
Yeah, as far as communicating with us is concerned, you can check out our website, ccso.org. There's all kinds of different contact us. We give you all the email addresses to all the different units. You can reach out to us via the telephones at any one of our district offices. We've got 4 district offices right now, plus we've got a vehicle down at Babcock Ranch. So, I mean, we are accessible by all means, plus our social media accounts. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Nextdoor, we're on Instagram. We've got a YouTube page. We've got a blog page. There's all kinds of ways to be in touch with the sheriff's office if you need us. And of course, in an emergency, 911.
So you've been there for a year.
Mhm.
What have you seen over a year that impressed you the most? Because you transitioned from Green Dot,
Mhm.
which is impressive all by itself, and you did a great job there.
Thank you.
When you transitioned,
Mhm.
and you started, I know that it was a new beginning.
Absolutely.
What was something that really impressed you that you learned along the way here?
So I think for me, the most impressive thing is learning all of the different ways that this agency is involved in the community beyond what the average person, including myself before I started working here, was aware of. And seeing all the different units and what they all do and how they all come together in a situation to protect the people of this community and make sure that we don't have these big problems that you're seeing in other areas. But the one thing that really stands out to me, I'm going to say, is in-house, we know, or our deputies know, that what they do every day puts people's lives on the line, and it saves people's lives quite often. And those stories, especially the ones about a deputy saving somebody's life, which happens every day, they don't get out to the public much. The public doesn't hear about those things. And even in our own agency, it's kind of just expected that that's what's going to happen. You're going to go out and you're going to do CPR on somebody and you're going to save somebody's life. We had a deputy that on Saturday night pulled a kid out of a swimming pool and did CPR and brought the kid back to life. If I didn't tell you that, you would never know that.
No.
So what I wanted to do was kind of find a way to share that information, at least in-house, and highlight some of those actions by our deputies that are out there and doing these things. So I came up with just a little certificate thing that I created. I call it the Spotlight Series. And I just put it up in the hallway on an easel. Nothing super crazy, but now when people walk by, they can see, oh, Deputy so-and-so did this the other day. That's pretty cool. Way to go. And so when they see that person in the hallway, give them a little fist bump or an elbow nudge or something and say, hey, nice job. And although the public doesn't hear about those things still, I think in-house, it's kind of helping us to appreciate more what each other is doing, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And it helps with that positive attitude. And it's just that reminder of this is why we do what we do. It's not to go out and arrest people. In a perfect world, we wouldn't arrest anybody, but we have to. We have to do our jobs. And when I say we, of course, I mean they. I'm not out there arresting people by any means. But I just think that it's important that we also recognize the positive things, the above and beyond things that our deputies are doing, because like I said, it doesn't get enough recognition. And especially with this political climate, sometimes we're seeing a lot of that negativity that we've been talking about, that 1%, and it gets lost in the muck. And I want to make sure that that doesn't happen here with us.
Well, and I'm curious here because I've always encouraged, and you know this from what we've built with Green Dot and C.A.R.E, and all my other shows, that I've kind of built this base of trying to target in and give back. And then I want you to think about this too, because I'm sitting here listening. I think it would be really cool to maybe do a spotlight, once a month, once a quarter, and I'm going to steal that phrase because I think having a positive interaction with the sheriff's department and bringing some people on that you're honoring, I think may be a cool idea. And I'll throw that at you because what impresses me the most is that you're doing it in-house. What I think we all need as citizens in the towns that we live in, I think we need to know the spotlights that are happening.
Right.
And I think that's what you're trying to change.
I am, but I'll tell you quite frankly, one of the biggest challenges to that I'm running into is the deputy, him or herself, who performed that incredible act, oftentimes doesn't want that recognition. It's just another day. I'm doing my job. This is what I signed up to do. This is why I took this position, why I swore my oath. And so for them, it's all in a day's work. And so, it's for us, the community affairs unit, to highlight those things the best that we can and still, respect the deputy's wishes. If they don't want to be recognized, then okay, But in-house, we're going to tell your story.
I like that. I because you're right. There's some humbleness within the approach, and I 100% agree with you because there are first responders that are doing the same thing every day.
Exactly. Yep.
And they're not pounding their chest and bragging. And I like it. I really am trying to think of different ways. I mean, we could even focus on unit, the traffic unit, different things like that, and really try to dig down and educate people along the way, because I think the key to change is education, which you're doing in-house.
Yep.
And you're getting that information out. The key with what you do with Shop with the Cop is educating people, educating the support team around, because you don't do Shop with the Cop by yourself. There's a lot of people involved.
Oh yeah.
How can the community grasp what you guys are doing? What's something that community members should pay attention to?
So I think the biggest thing that would help the community understand what we do, it's called our Citizens Police Academy. And so when we reintroduce that, right now everything's kind of still on pause because of the COVID. But once we reintroduce that, and we will, we're talking about it again and how quickly we can get it back. That is, it's a 6 to 8 week program where it's 1 night per week, where the average person will come, they'll sign up, they have to register and be approved and all that. But we'll get a class together of 20 people or so, and we will take them through every unit of this agency and let them ask questions and see different things and talk to people that are in that unit and find out just what it is and how it works and what you do matters to me as a citizen. And so the Citizens Police Academy, it's 100% free. It's just literally a behind the curtain look at what the CCSO is and how we do what we do to protect the community. I actually have not yet had an opportunity to go through it myself because of the COVID, but I work very closely with Tammy Wilkie, who is the person who oversees that whole program. She's the other community affairs specialist, as a matter of fact. And so I know what goes into it, and I know the kind of work that she does, and all of the reviews that I've seen and heard, people love it. They're like, it's this eye-opening experience. I didn't know that we did this, that, or that. And it's just a really cool thing with a lot of hands-on activities as well to kind of get them in the feel for what we do.
What's the youngest age and the oldest age to do something like that?
I would imagine, and I don't know this for sure, so don't quote me, but I would imagine the youngest is 18. I think you have to be 18 to go through it. But there's no cap as far as how old. Because that would be silly for us to do in Charlotte County. We get people that are 90 years young and they're ready to go. So
yeah, and watch out,
turn them away. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. I see, I see some growth in you. I do. I love it.
Yes, I put some weight on, John. Thank you.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, but it's fascinating though to see you go from one level and have that enthusiasm. I didn't know that there was another level of enthusiasm, and I think it may not be enthusiasm as much as it is enjoyment. of
Yeah,
learning?
it's both. It's definitely both. I'm very enthusiastic about what I'm doing, but I was enthusiastic about what I was doing at C.A.R.E too. It's just a
Right.
matter of this is something different, and I feel for me when I get into something, I want to give it my all. I want to put 110% and keep that energy as much as I can. And I think if you don't do that, things get stale,
Yeah.
and I don't ever want to be accused of being stale. This is
Well,
important.
and I want to talk about the relationship that the sheriff's department has, because that's the one thing that we haven't really wrapped our hands around with the conversations with C.A.R.E and Green Dot on the show. And I think a lot of it has to do with COVID too. But talk about the relationship that the sheriff's department has with organizations like C.A.R.E and Green Dot, and the value that brings.
Sure. So, like I said, this agency is all about community interaction and working together, and we truly believe that it takes a community to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. To have safety, to have security, to have peace, you need everybody to be involved in those things. It can't just be sheriff's deputies driving around in a police state. That's not what this is. So, for the agency to accomplish those goals, Sheriff Primella, for example, serves on the board of directors for C.A.R.E. There's 4 different deputies of high rank, majors and lieutenants, that serve on the board of directors for the Boys and Girls Club. We've got representatives in all of the local agencies. We partner with Charlotte Behavioral Health Care, which is the mental health crisis unit and things of that nature. So we've kind of got the hands in all the pots because we're all players in the same game. We're all working towards the same goal, which is a peaceful Charlotte County. And so in order to accomplish that, you've got to work with these other agencies and be partners, because if we're all working against each other, we'll never get to where we want to go. So I think that the sheriff really understands that, and he really embraces that. Beyond just understanding, he embraces it. It's something that's important to him, and he preaches it to everybody. And we just had a major that retired about 2 months ago. And in his farewell email that he sent to everybody, he was talking about how you need to be involved with all these different organizations in order for us to do what we want to do, and how that community approach is the only way to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And it was just really kind of the obvious, but for somebody to say it out loud was deafening, if that makes sense. It's all about kind of letting people know, don't be afraid to get involved and do things. We've got somebody that's involved with the homeless coalition. We've got somebody that's, it's everything that you can think of. We're going to be there because we're all about the same mission.
Well, and I like that you're highlighting some of these things. And I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing. And this is not just Charlotte County that does this. It's a lot of different organizations that do this same platform. But it adds value across the board, because not only are you involved with the upper ranks, but you correct me if I'm wrong, but because of the relationships that are being built, I think you're also assessing some needs that maybe the sheriff's department can help with along the way.
Absolutely.
And it's the insight that you get from being part of. And I don't even want to call it a partner. I think you guys have grown a team, an outreach team that really is all about communication. And I think that's the reason that it's so successful, is that every one of those organizations that you just talked about that you're connected with, they all have needs. I've interviewed a lot of them. I know they're there, and it's really strange to watch organizations always continue to reach out, and Green Dot same way, always reaching out and trying to get more help. When you have the sheriff's department who understands there's a need, and you don't have to reach out to the sheriff's department because they're involved.
Right.
And that's the difference between the citizen and the sheriff's department, is that over here you're teaching to get involved, and over here you're relaxed and you're disclosing what the needs are.
Right.
And maybe what some hot spots are.
Well, and so you kind of nailed it too. One of the reasons that we want to be involved is because it gives us an opportunity to look at something that we may not otherwise have access to. So, I mean, to that note, we work with Mothers Against Drunk Driving. You know, we try to tackle the drunk driving issue. We work with Drug-Free Charlotte County and Drug-Free Punta Gorda. Like you said, Green Dot. Matter of fact, my very first Green Dot class that I ever taught, the man who is now my boss came through that class because he works here, and he said, you know what, this is something new in our community. I got to go check it out. And so maybe that helped me get the job. I don't know. But I know that he was there along with one other person, I think two other people actually from the sheriff's office. So, and that to me, just starting out at C.A.R.E, my very first Green Dot class, I was nervous. I wasn't sure if this thing was going to take off, but to automatically have the support of the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, the main law enforcement agency in the area where I was running the program, that's huge. I mean, you talk about giving somebody a little peace of mind. That was, for me, that was tremendous to say, we see you, we support you, how can we help? And that's really what this is all about.
Well, and I love it because I think it takes the pressure from those organizations.
Mm-hmm.
They have the pressure of trying to really just drive it home to the public. And I think the sheriff himself has taken the pressure off of you guys, right, in the sense that involvement is okay. Involvement is a good thing.
Right.
And I think the core group, that 99% of sheriffs out there, I think they're looking at the involvement in their community anyway, because they embrace their community.
Right.
Talk a little bit about the attitude, and this is I think the icebreaker for a lot of people. The attitude with a sheriff every day, that 99%er, mm-hmm. all right, the guy that's on the street doing all the things he's got to do because it's his job.
Right.
I think we all forget sometimes it's his job, mm-hmm. And they're not picking on anybody individually. If you're not doing anything wrong and they're picking on you, then there's a problem.
Right. Exactly.
All right. But for the most part, they're not sitting outside your house waiting for you to leave out of your driveway and going, okay, I got it.
Exactly.
But talk a little bit about the drive that you've seen in the department now from individuals who really embrace what the sheriff himself is dictating into the units.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the great thing about it is the sheriff doesn't really have to dictate it anymore. We've reached a point where the people that we have working at this agency are here for the right reasons, and they don't need that prod. They just know. I get up, I put on my badge because I want to go out and I want to make a difference today. I want to help people. I want to prevent crime. I want to make this a safer place. And like you said, these are people. These are regular people at the end of the day. Maybe they have small children of their own, or a wife of their own, or an elderly parent or something. What they do helps to make things better for that person or those people in their lives as well. So right. Their motivation is as intrinsic as it is extrinsic. There are so many different things that motivate these ladies and gentlemen to go out and do what they do. We've had just recently, I don't know if you saw, but we had 2 female corrections deputies make our CERT team, which is the emergency response team at the jail. That's never been done before. We've never had a female on the CERT team. Now we've got 2 that happened within 2 months of each other. And that was an intrinsic motivation of these women who said, I'm as good as any man. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to bust my butt, and I'm going to make a difference too. And so it kind of opened a whole new world for them that now I've done this. So now they've both already stated their next goal is to be on the SWAT team. So these are, I mean, just certified badass women, if I can say that, that are determined to go to the next level. And we have so many deputies here that are just like that. They just want to take it to the next level, push themselves, and do things that'll make things better for everybody around them. It's not just an intrinsic, it's extrinsic too.
Well, you know, you've got your hands full You really do, because it's, to me, being in your position, it's really answering to the bad and promoting the good.
Correct.
And we don't have, and we're kind of blessed. You're right. We're blessed in the sense that I don't know that we have too many 1%ers.
No.
I just don't. Every indication that 22 years of living in this area, I've never seen a 1%er. I just haven't. And I think if you think you're a target, it's because you might have put that on your own back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little bit in the regard of maybe multiple arrests and or multiple occurrences, why that sticks with the police department and how that communication happens? And it's not a highlight of that person, but I think it makes people in the department more aware of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think for us, the ones that you see get arrested multiple times, it's generally for the same thing. I'm not going to say always, but generally it's for the same thing. And that same thing is drugs. That just seems to be overwhelmingly what people are reoffending with. It's not, the end of the list, but that is number one on the list, I would say.
Well, it is Florida, and that seems to be a trend. And
right.
It's not here, it's Florida and
right.
all over America, truthfully.
And so to that extent, our deputies, if they see you or catch you or find you and you are in possession of illegal narcotics, they're going to do their job. They're going to arrest you. That's their job. But at the end of the day, jail isn't the place where we want to send an addict. We want to get them the help they need, and that's not in a prison cell. I mean, let's just be honest. So again, this is where Sheriff Permel came forward and said, I've identified a trend. Let's see what we can come up with. And he created what he calls the Drug Addiction Recovery Initiative. So now if you are somebody who lives in Charlotte County and you have got drugs and you say, you know what, it's time for me to fix my life. It's time for me to change things. I don't want to keep doing this and being a part of this vicious cycle anymore. You can literally take your drugs, walk up to a deputy and hand them to him without fear of arrest and say, I'm ready to get help. And that deputy will help get you to the recovery center that you need to be. So to me, that's an incredible program that exists where you don't have to do anything other than come to us and say, I'm ready. And we'll take the drugs from you and we will take you where you need to go to get the help that you need so that you can start to turn your life around and we can take some of this stuff off the streets.
Sounds to me like he is all about taking a negative and turning it to a positive.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like somebody I'd love to meet. I've not met him yet. Because I think you're a good fit there because you are that way. Mm-hmm. You had that mindset anyway. Whether it's trivia at Wings and Rings or seriously, I know you personally, and I just the reason that you are who you are is I don't know that you've ever seen something you haven't tried to make a positive.
Right.
And knowing that you're in an environment like that, now I know why you're thriving. Now I know why you're happy and you've got goals. And I'm going to ask you, because you mentioned it earlier that you were going to go to school, but why now? Why that moment did you change and say, I want to go back and finish?
So the biggest reason for me is that now that I'm here and I'm in this agency, and not that it wasn't with C.A.R.E either, but specifically here, there's this push. It's like an atmosphere of everybody pushing themselves to be better. Every day, everywhere you go, somebody is being promoted in rank, somebody is going to school, somebody is learning a new certificate program or whatever it might be, and they're just making themselves better. Just like those two ladies I just talked about at the jail. They pushed themselves to get better, so now they're on the CERT team. And that's like if you're not doing that, you're in the minority here. So I kind of looked around and I said, well, maybe it's time for me to make some strides for myself and see what else I can do to make my situation even better than it is. And if the benefits package here is fantastic. So the school would be taken care of for me as long as I'm doing something related to work. And it makes sense. So there's all these incentives to push yourself to get better. And I just feel like there's no reason not to do that. You don't waste on something like that. If you're given an opportunity, everybody who's listening, if you're given an opportunity, grab it and go.
Well, and I like how you put that, because the truth is the environment that's created, whether it was dictated or not, it's been radically changed, I'm sure, because of this new sheriff. Mm-hmm. And while you don't have to talk about it too much as being dictated, it's because that environment is so inclusive to success that it's infectious.
Absolutely.
And so his involvement and everybody listening and everybody advancing and everybody progressing through the systems, and the two ladies who now saw that opportunity and said, hey, I got this. In fact, I'm going to go to the next level. I think it's a great environment. And I think we've missed that, not just in the sheriff's department, but we've missed that in society as a whole. And I think we've lost that. I think when we went to higher education as the only way you can succeed,
right?
And now it's not. It's trying to recreate what we used to have in the incentive program of, hey, get involved, get your feet on the ground, get moving forward. And I think it all goes back to one really common thing. And we kind of started this conversation with people who got multiple arrests. Mm-hmm. You kind of are who you're around.
Right. And we find that a lot, that and Sergeant Brandon just talked about this the other day on the news as well. When we have these people that serve time and they get out, and then the first thing they do is go right back to the people that they were associating with before, that was part of why they got in trouble, then you're going to get reoffenses. I mean, that's just the way it is. But that's what they know. And that's where we have to think about some of our proactive programs. If all you know is drugs and crime and living that kind of lifestyle, then surely that's what you're going to go back to, because that's familiar, that's comfortable. We are hoping with this drug addiction recovery initiative that there are people out there who have made that decision. There's an ancient Chinese proverb, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Well, we want you to take that single step that says, I'm ready to turn my whole life around. And I know that's scary and intimidating and huge, but the people that do it are eternally thankful and so much better for it after they've come out the other side. As hard of a journey as it was, we've seen people that have done it, and they're living a life now that is comfortable, that is nowhere near what it was before.
Well, see, I'll go back a little bit and tell you a story, because I've got 25 years medical. I was involved with Grant Medical Center at the level 1 trauma center. That is why I have this big thing about 95 miles an hour with 3 lane changes and zipping in and out of traffic. It's just not worth it. Okay. But I remember the gunshot victim I took care of when I first started on the trauma floor, and his name was Phil. He almost died. He was with me in the hospital when I clocked in and clocked out for about 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I got to know him so well that I would take him downstairs, have lunch outside on the patio, him in his Jerry chair, chest tubes, everything right there. And so I spent a lot of lunches with him. This same thing happens with you guys too on different levels. It happens in hospitals a lot of times, and it happened with me. But his life changed. The guys that he was coming into the hospital with, or the guys that were coming into the hospital with, they showed up about 6, 8 months after he had been discharged. And they walked in and they said, we're here to see our friend. And I called them out by name because I knew who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, where's Phil? And they said, Phil got a job. Phil's the manager at the fast food place. And I said, and I'm still getting goosebumps because
Mm-hmm.
I know the impact that had. I know the impact that you guys have. It's huge. It's massive. And it's crazy that I still tell that story. And it's not a pat on the back moment. It's the fact that I took time out to have conversations with them.
Right.
And you guys are building this whole thing for the county. And you're really trying to change that mindset, that encouraging moment. And I love it. It's like there's no wonder that people are wanting to do more and do better, because that infection that you guys are creating, that drive to give back to the community. I think it's fascinating when you, as you're now figuring out, once you get involved in it, it's kind of hard to flip the switch off.
Right. Yeah.
And go, and now I'll just sit back and enjoy the ride. The enjoyable ride is, what can I do better?
Exactly. Yep. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now is how can I be better? And not just for me, although that is my drive. It's how do I make myself better? But in the long run, how does making myself better benefit what I want to do here too?
Right.
And you know,
how does it affect the community?
I'm sorry?
How does it affect the community as a whole? Because
exactly,
it's just one more, you're kind of one more spoke in the wheel.
Right. It's the same, it's the green dot mentality is really what it is.
Yeah.
We're just talking about one person doing one thing, but it starts to spread. And like you said, call it an infection where it infects other people's and it makes people want to do those same things. When you've got somebody like this gentleman that you're talking about, Phil, who got out and got himself a job and worked his way up to the manager, and you're going to not tell me that his buddies weren't all looking at that and saying, man, if Phil can do it, why can't I do it? You know, and whether or not they did, they at least had the thought that they can. And that's what's important, is knowing that you can do something, and you just got to take that first step, like I said.
Well, Sarah, thank you for that. And I know Chris saw that too.
Yeah, you're the best, Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah's awesome. Oh, by the way, I got to read her book because I want to have her on my show, and I promised her I would, and I'm going to do it. But Sarah, just you can put your book up there, Sarah. Type it all in there and tell them where they can buy it, because that's awesome. But with that being said, the impacts that you've made in your career now, up to now, it's really cool to watch the mindset. It is a mindset.
Sure.
And it's the reason it's going to be successful is the position you have right now is you're just trying to change everybody else's mindset.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're not having to do that too much in-house, but even the one thing that you added in-house already, what was the impact of that? Where
the spotlight?
Yeah.
Oh, people loved it. I mean, it was, and that was a moment for me that was, I sat back and I kind of looked the way my office was set up, my last office, not where I am now. The board that I put that spotlight certificate on was right outside my door. So I could be sitting at my desk and I could see every single person that walked by and stopped to read what was on that board. And when I saw lieutenants and captains and majors stopping and reading that and giving a little nod of approval and then walking away, that for me was like, oh my goodness, that moment where I felt so proud of something that I had done. And I'm not even the one who saved that kid's life, but I told everybody about it, you know, and if I didn't tell them, they might not have known, because like I said, it's just another day in the line of duty for them. They don't think that way. They're not wired that way. So I'm glad that I get the opportunity to brag on them, to show them off a little bit. And you'll see that we do a lot of that as an agency with our videos and things like that. If you follow our Facebook page at CCSOFL Sheriff, and our YouTube page at Charlotte County Sheriff's Office, we've got all kinds of videos where you see our programs, you see, and it's not just us bragging on ourselves, but you'll also get tips for crime prevention. The number one tip that we can give everybody, by the way, lock your doors. Just lock your doors. If you lock your doors, you're less likely to be a victim. It's really that simple. But we catch a lot of flack for that. So, but you'll see if you check out those videos, there's videos of the Shop with a Cop program. So you can see how heartwarming it is that I'm not just making this up. You can watch it. And like you said, you'll get goosebumps. You'll get safety tips. You'll get programs and all of the different things that we do. Tributes to, we had a little girl, she's been to Northport too. Her name is Emma. And she came around and she made these handmade flags with the thin blue line on them. And she gave them out to every deputy she saw. She's given out hundreds of these things. And so there's a video tribute to her, thanking her for reminding our deputies of just what it is that keeps them going every day. You know, if you were in a spot where some of these other places throughout the country have had those issues, if your community is not supportive of your law enforcement, it really drags them down. They're still going to get up and do their job, but they're not going to do it as peppy as they might without the support of their community. And like I said, we don't have that problem here.
Well, you know, we're running out of time. I can't believe, you know, we've been at this, and I feel like it's the first 15 minutes of the segment, not the 55 or 51 minute mark. It's crazy, but I would love to have you back on.
Absolutely.
And really, we'll set this thing up. Maybe we'll have the traffic police, our traffic department on. Anybody that you'd like to bring in to really educate and join you.
Sure.
I'll open that up to you and where you think it should go.
Great.
Just let me know and we'll make it happen, because I think what you're doing is fantastic. I think what the sheriff is doing is phenomenal, and I really think the citizens of Charlotte County need to really kind of step up and be appreciative. If you haven't, there's no reason not to walk up and thank them for their time. Mm-hmm. Because the one thing I think you pointed out that people forget, because we do kind of live in a cool, quiet place. And knock on wood everywhere. We don't have officers being lost every day.
Right.
When we do, it's very stressful to the community. But I know that 911 made people realize to say thank you more. Mm-hmm. Let's not relax that. Right. I think we all need to step up. Thank first responders everywhere. Thank our police department, because the key to a successful community starts with security.
Absolutely.
And I think anytime that you see a successful community, it really reflects the police department itself. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's just me. Let's see. Yeah, well, you got a little kudo there. You want to read that out loud?
Says, Bill Permel is a great leader and sheriff. And I got to tell you, I couldn't agree more.
Well, and really, I'd love to meet him. So, you know, even if it's off camera sometime, if we could set that up, I'd love to shake his hand and just tell him what I think, because to inspire somebody, I've always believed that was already inspired to the T. Man, he must be a great guy.
He sure is.
Chris, I love the fact that you came on short notice. Thank you for your time. Hang on afterwards, because I'm sure Marie's going to want to talk to you. But you're listening to WKDW Radio, Real Talk 97.5 FM. Catch all the shows. Marie, thank you for checking. Marie's got great shows on 97.5 FM. So look us up, and we'll talk to you soon. You guys be safe, and I will see you. Guys, is today Friday? No, it's Monday. It's amazing. It's the 5th Monday of the month. It's always messing me up. But you guys be safe, and I'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye now.